You're going to have to sit with this one for a moment to really let it percolate and get in there, okay? A lot of us think that if we could get to certainty, we would feel better. If only I can know for sure. If only I can make sure that. If only I could, okay? I am a neuropsychologist, and my expertise is in the brain's connection to anxiety. So anxiety, stress, and trauma. What I'm about to say is going to take a minute to metabolize because it is very counterintuitive, and yet it is neurologically true. The best definition that I can give you for anxiety is it is a disturbed relationship with certainty. Anxiety is a disturbed relationship with certainty, meaning the more that we obsessively think that we need to know, the more anxious we become.
I saw this video in my FYP a day or two ago, and it was like an immediate reshare for me, especially because it reminds me of two things. One is a quote from one of my favorite authors, Rebecca Solnit, from her book, A Field Guide to Getting Lost. She says, worry is a way to pretend that you have knowledge or control over what you don't. And it surprises me, even in myself, how much we prefer ugly scenarios to the pure unknown. I'm somebody who has struggled a lot with anxiety. I think it's difficult to be a human being and not struggle with anxiety, although my therapist would say really smart people tend to be anxious people because their brains always want to know more. Their brains always want to grasp more and have kind of a desire to want to predict the unpredictable, to believe that we know what the future will be, or to worry about what the future will bring. And I think that Dr. Julia and Rebecca bring up such an important point when we are thinking about not only our own quality of life, right, under normal circumstances, but in particular when we are trying to resist fascism, when we are in the midst of going through really dark and difficult times where those in power are telling us that they have already written the future and that it is bleak and terrible and oppressive. Donald Trump and MAGA engage in a behavior called future faking. And I'll keep talking about it until it's more popular in the lexicon. It is a psychological manipulation tactic where they lie to you and tell you that they have not only seen the future, but they are the ones who get to write it for the rest of us. And that there's nothing you can do. The future is already set in stone. So just go ahead, lay down, obey in advance, accept their terrible vision as inevitable. But I want to remind you, I'm reminding myself on a daily basis, I want to remind you, the future is not yet written. The future is unknown. And Rebecca is so right. How often we prefer ugly scenarios to the pure unknown. I've spent a lot of time pushing back against other people on the political left, especially white men on the political left with big accounts who engage in doomerism, acting like the future belongs to Donald Trump, acting like the worst possible scenario, the ugly scenario, is the one that will come to pass. And how that defeatist mindset is not only sabotaging the good work that we need to be doing, it is playing right into the fascist hand. It's also the easy, comfortable choice. It's also the lazy choice. It's the choice that privileged white men can make because they might get by okay under a Project 2025 future. They might do okay under fascism. So they don't really have to expend that labor. They don't have to engage in the self-discipline of hope. They don't have to do the work to try and stop this, because if they just lay down and take the easy route out, then maybe they'll be okay. Hopelessness, doomerism, giving up in advance, that's really the easy out. If you pretend that the future is already written and it's really terrible, then you don't have to fight for a better future. You don't have to work to write the future that we all need and deserve and must help bring about. I don't care who disagrees with me. It is a lazy, privileged position to obey in advance. You are opting yourself out of having to contribute to the necessary work of saving our neighbors, of saving our democracy, of saving the future for our children. But that brings me to the second point that this neuropsychs video reminded me of. I have been reading Timothy Snyder's On Freedom, and last week before, I went and actually heard him speak. And his words in that lecture, and also my friend who's reading the book as well, talking about unpredictability, prompted me to go back and reread the chapter on unpredictability. Accepting that the future is not yet written, accepting that the future is unpredictable, engaging in unpredictable behaviors, all of that is how we become free and how we secure our freedom. And when we think about the fact that the future is not yet written and we get to help write it, Part of that is us behaving in unpredictable ways. The fascist regime, Project 2025, y'all, is like a script for what they want for the future of this country, what they want in terms of your behavior, controlled, coerced, entirely predictable. They want us to behave like little automatons. They want us all to be exactly how they want us to be, not unpredictable, not our authentic selves, but constrained, less than, shriveled, small versions that are easily manipulated, controlled, and will behave in a set pattern. They want us to be afraid, to be ourselves, to buck the system, to be unpredictable. Fascism is entirely about control. And so if we want freedom, we have to be unwilling to be controlled in that way. We have to be unpredictable. In his book on freedom, Snyder references the philosopher Lev Shestov, who wrote of living automata, which some mysterious hand has wound up. Snyder says, our nemesis winds us up like toys. We are physically immobile while our emotions tense and then uncoil into actions for reasons that are not our own. Fascist propaganda of this regime is all about manipulating your emotions to control you, to get you to behave in predictable, expected ways that help them and harm your ability to be a free person. We become unfree in the simplest of matters, not doing what we would if we were thinking for ourselves. Freedom needs human thinkers sovereign and unpredictable. Unfreedom needs yielding and predictable creatures, quaking from fear in self-built cages, dreaming of enemies they never meet and of friends and lovers they do not have. Dreaming of enemies they will never meet. That's exactly what Rebecca says when she says we often prefer the ugly scenarios to the pure unknown. This is one of the reasons I'm always encouraging folks to learn DBT therapy, to learn distress tolerance techniques, to learn skills to help us cope with our anxiety. Because the regime is harnessing that in order to control us, in order to make us predictable. Learning to embrace our own unpredictability, to see that as a power to help us secure our freedom, to learn to love the unknown, to be willing to say, I don't know what's going to happen next. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. The future is what we make of it. We are empowered to help craft that future. That is a really beautiful and powerful vision, especially when we understand it's our collective power. It's all of us coming together. We will be able to do such amazing things that we have not even begun to conceptualize of yet, because the future is not known. Do not let your anxiety brain, do not let your worry try to fool you into pretending you think you know what's going to happen next. Do not let the propaganda of the regime lie to you and let that work on you so that you no longer accept the unpredictability of the future. Build those skills to help you manage your anxiety so that your emotions don't run you, they don't mislead you, they don't wind you up and cause you to engage in actions that you would not undertake otherwise, actions that benefit the regime. Also, build those skills so that you can become impervious. You can create those barriers, those defenses, so that the propaganda does not work on you. The future is not yet written. Our unpredictability is one of our strengths. Unpredictable people are free and authentic people. The pure unknown, y'all, that is a good thing. So how can we learn to embrace it? How can we learn to use it to help us in this moment and going forward?